What's up, guys? It is the Friday, February 5th edition of the MMA Junkie Twitter Mailbag. We have UFC Fight Night 184 coming at us tomorrow night. MMA Junkie will be on the grounds for that. But before we get there, we have some questions that need to be answered. I appreciate everybody sending them in, so let's dive into them. Question number one comes from Twitter user Jack Levy, who asks, if Overeem wins, who does he fight next? And what are his chances of winning this weekend? His chances of winning, I think, are pretty good. I'm surprised that he is a slight underdog right now. Plus 158 across the major online sports books, according to Best Fight Odds. So slight underdog. I actually like him. I think that I did pick him in our staff picks. I see if he can get this fight to the ground, I see him being able to get a finish there with some ground and pound. So that's where I'm leaning. As for who he should fight if he wins, February is essentially a heavyweight showcase for the UFC. I mean, we have 4 cards in February and 3 of them have heavyweight headliners. So I would say if Jairzinho Rozenstruik wins, that rematch is what the fans would want to see. I know it's what Overeem would want, and it would make sense for Rozenstruik as well. I mean, anybody that's calling this controversial would be shut up if he went out there. Calling their first meeting controversial would shut up if he went out there and beat Overeem again. So that's the fight to make. We'll see if things play out that way, but Alistair's got to handle Volkov first on Saturday. Question 1 was a little bit of an optimist take. Question 2 here, a little bit of a pessimistic take, but I respect it. Nicholas Lentz asks, on the opposite side of the coin, if Overeem loses, does that eliminate the possibility of him ever getting close to a title shot again? If so, what would the future hold for him? Gatekeeper, retirement? I think this is it. I mean, Overeem said it himself. This is his final run. This is his last chance. So for me, I don't necessarily think retirement will automatically happen if he goes out there and loses to Alexander Volkov. But I do think that he'll know that his journey towards the UFC title is likely over. And, maybe he'll take a retirement bout. Maybe he'll fight out his contract. But I think from a realistic standpoint, this is it for Overeem. I mean, time is already not on his side. Time is of the essence. He needs to go out there. He needs to beat Volkov, probably fights once more, and then we can start talking about him versus whoever holds gold at that point in time. One more Overeem question from Eric Boucher. Sorry if I butchered your name, Eric, but if Overeem continues to win fights and Stipe beats Ngannou, will Overeem versus Ngannou be necessary for Alistair to get a shot at the title? I think it's a fight that could happen in between Alistair, where he is now, and getting the title shot. But to me, I don't think it's a fight that needs to happen. I mean, Ngannou beat him, sure, but we've seen this plenty of times where MMA math doesn't necessarily add up. If the fight was, a year ago, maybe we could talk about, okay, he just lost to him. He needs to have that rematch. But if Stipe beats Ngannou, I think Ngannou's kind of in the back of the line of contenders, whereas Overeem's rolling. I just don't think that fight would make much sense. So to me, the past is in the past. It could align. The stars could align where those two fight again. But right now, I think they're just kind of on opposite wavelengths, and we'd likely see other matchups before those two fight without a belt on the line. Final question coming at me from John Topoli. Out of all the big main events coming up, what are you anticipating to be the most exciting? This stretch of time for the UFC, like I tweeted the other day, this stretch of time is impressive. We have so many great main events coming up, especially March. I mean, you got Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz, a champion versus champion fight. You got Kevin Holland and Khamzat Chimaev participating in their first UFC main events, 2 of last year's breakthrough stars getting to finally have that showcase. We got a bunch of good heavyweight fights this month. You got Usman versus Burns. So the UFC's table of main events is completely set here. I think it's there's a lot of great matchmaking on these cards. But to me, when you use most exciting, I am absolutely stoked for Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa, which surfaced recently. April 17th, those two guys for 5 rounds, I think will be extremely exciting. We'll get to see either Whittaker punch his ticket to another title shot against Israel Adesanya, or we'll see Paulo Costa show something, rebound, show that he's not done, show that the last fight, perhaps, a rematch down the line with Israel Adesanya isn't that unreasonable despite what happened last time. So for me, I love that matchmaking. Whittaker versus Costa has all the makings of a great fight, and it's meaningful. So that's my main event to look forward to, though we got a couple months before it actually happens. So fingers crossed that the MMA gods are good to us.